This episode of Distraction is sponsored by my good friends at Omega Bright Wellness. I take Omega Bright's omega-3 and CBD supplements every day, and so does my wife. Shop online at omegabrightwellness.com. This episode is also sponsored by Landmark College. Landmark's summer programs are designed to help high school and college students find their learning strengths and differences. Learn more at landmark.edu/summer. Hello, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell with a mini episode of Distraction. Today's brief episode gets at a test called the T.O.V.A, T-O.V.A. It's an acronym. Stands for Test of Variables of Attention. And we're addressing it because we received an email from a listener who asked, how effective is this test as a diagnostic tool for ADHD? The listener was administered the T.O.V.A by a therapist, but the results did not indicate she had ADHD. Years later, the listener is being treated for ADHD and said it helped immensely, but is second-guessing her diagnosis because of her T.O.V.A test results. Believe the history. Believe your story. Don't believe the T.O.V.A or any other test. There is no test for ADHD. How many times do I have to say it? There is no test. The T.O.V.A, the BOVA, or the Bossa Nova, there isn't one. And there are people who are trying to pass off, tests that are useful, but in no way definitive. This is what the T.O.V.A test website says. The T.O.V.A provides healthcare professionals with objective measurements of attention and inhibitory control. The visual T.O.V.A aids in the assessment of and the evaluation of treatment for attention deficits, including attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. The auditory T.O.V.A aids in the assessment of attention deficits, including ADHD. T.O.V.A results should only be interpreted by qualified professionals. Yeah, which is a long way of saying, yes, it generates data that do relate to attention, visual and auditory, but you can get wonderful data simply by taking a person's history. And in the case of ADHD, you need to take the history from at least two people, the identified patient and a parent or a spouse or a sibling, someone who knows that person well. I'm not saying don't believe these various other tests that you can get, and there are many. But I am saying none of them is definitive, and the T.O.V.A people themselves would agree with that. But if you were to say to me, how do you diagnose it? I would say I diagnose it by getting your story, and your story from another person as well. And that's where the diagnosis will reside. Now, might I send you for neuropsych testing? I might. Might I send you for a T.O.V.A? Perhaps. We don't happen to use that in my office, but I certainly don't object to it. The only thing I object to is putting priority on the test, whatever it is, over the history. And this person who's writing in is a good example. She was told she didn't have ADHD when in fact she did, based on the results of a test. So the bottom line is believe the history, see a professional who's been around the block a few times, who knows what he or she is doing. You can certainly use tests as supplemental material, but not the primary basis for making the diagnosis. I hope that's clear, because it's very important and a common misconception. I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, well, I was tested, I don't have ADHD, and they clearly have it. It just jumps out of their brain and onto my face, and that's the best test, is jumps out of your brain and onto my face. So I'm gonna have to put that in my diagnostic criteria. All right, that's it for our podcast today. Thank you once again to our wonderful sponsor, Omega Bright Wellness. Remember to use the promo code DISTRACTION at omegabrightwellness.com to save 20% off your first order. And please continue to reach out to us with your questions, comments, show ideas, and favorite recipes if you'd like, by emailing connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's connect, the word connect, at distractionpodcast.com. And of course, please follow us on social media. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. Our producer is the delightful and brilliant Sarah Guertin, and I'm the sometimes delightful and maybe now and then brilliant Dr. Ned Hallowell. Thank you so very much for listening. The episode you just heard was sponsored by Omega Bright Wellness, creators of the #1 omega-3 supplement for the past 20 years. Omega Bright supplements are safe, third-party tested, and I take them every day. Shop online at omegabrightwellness.com.